Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. How's your guys' weekend? Happy late Father's Day to all the fathers that watch the channel. I am, in fact, a father. You guys have heard me mention my kids, so happy late Father's Day to all of you. Hopefully, you had a wonderful day of doing absolutely nothing, because that's what I did. I did absolutely nothing, and it was everything I thought it would be. So, today, we're going to do something that I've kind of on and off thought about doing, but never did until this weekend when I beat a game, and it dawned on me that the boss fight in that game is never, ever mentioned. So, yeah, hold on, let me kill this. My camera keeps trying to go over to that screen. So I decided to do a video of top 10 boss fights. These are hardest boss fights. These are annoying boss fights, difficult mechanics in a boss fight, things like that. Now, something you will not see. I'm watching my camera slowly walk to the side here. Knock it off. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, one thing you will not see in this video, and if you're here for it, is Dark Souls bosses, From Software game bosses. I am so tired of every boss video having like 6 of those. Okay? We get it. They're difficult. I played Elden Ring when it came out. It was the first From Software game I ever beat. And I beat every boss in that game with ease. And I'm watching YouTubers smash controllers and rage quit and storm off and break computers. And I'm not good at Dark Souls games. I suck at those. My timing for dodging attacks is shit. So for me to just destroy the game and all these seasoned players have this much issues, it was hilarious to me. And then there's that one, I don't remember her name. She's always considered really tough. She got like the red hair, the crazy bitch with the... Anyway, I beat her in one try. Like the first time I fought her, I beat the shit out. I didn't even know she was considered one of the hardest bosses until way later. And I couldn't believe how easy she was. So, you're not going to see Dark Souls or From Software bosses, okay? This is going to be a collection of bosses, secret bosses, end bosses, and things like that I have personally fought and defeated and considered difficult for one reason or another. Now, some of these bosses, there's of course always cheap ways to beat bosses. So some of them there's easy things. Some of them it's a matter of luck on whether you can beat them or not. Okay, so I'm tired of explaining this shit. So we're going to jump right into it. Let's see. Let's jump into Chef Saltbaker Cuphead. Okay. I beat Cuphead for my game challenge this year. And this guy is a complete ass. Now, when you play Cuphead, you can change your difficulty, but you're trying to get contracts. So when you drop to the lowest difficulty and beat any boss or any level, it doesn't really help you progress the game. You have to up the difficulty in order to progress the game. This guy right here, as you go up in difficulty, you get these fire guys up here that constantly attack you. And they'll kill you over and over. Okay? This guy has a few different phases, and there's just so much shit going on at the same time. Now, Cuphead's all about learning the boss's attacks, his movements, just like most games. You want to learn what he's doing, and then prepare for it and dodge it. But Cuphead's one of those games where you're going to keep making the same mistake over and over and get mad at yourself because it's your fault you're dying because you keep doing the same shit. You keep jumping the same way. It's like if you're a Call of Duty player and you go like, okay, I'm going to go around the right side of this map and there's a guy sitting there just hard scoped up and he blows your head off with a sniper rifle. What do? You get mad and you go the same way. So what does he do? He kills you again. And what do? You get even more mad, so you keep going the same way. Until you realize you just fed him 10 kills, you idiot. Alright. Anyway, that's Chef Saltbaker for you. He's very difficult, and it takes a while to learn. And yeah, every boss fight you got to learn. But eventually you'll have that fight where everything clicks and you beat him down. And it feels great when you do. All right, this one's a little more old school. This is Final Fantasy VII Safer Sephiroth. Okay? In the Japanese version, and this is for Japanese specific, and I've gone through a process of fighting him in the Japanese version, there is an attack change. Okay? Supernova. In the US version, it hits hard and all, but you can cope. In the Japanese version, Supernova, and they even changed the animation. In the US version, it takes a little longer for the attack to go off. It's very cool looking, and it's a lot of animation to it. In the Japanese version, there's less of an animation, and it hits way harder, causing him to be way more difficult in the Japanese version of this boss fight. So he's already kind of a pain in the ass, but upping Supernova's attack ability makes it even harder. All right. I'm sorry about the ads. I'm never paying for some ad-free bullshit, guys. All right, moving on. Enter the Gungeon, the resourceful rat. Now, this ass clown has a couple phases. He's difficult. It's a bullet hell game. So you pretty much learn, like most games, you learn how to dodge their attacks. I mean, there's like the dragon at the end there, but he's easy. Most of these bosses get easy if you get the item that lets you suck up bullets and store it as ammo. That's like essential. You get that thing, most boss fights are simple at this point. But it's not only fighting the resourceful rat, it's doing everything to fight him. And it's a process. I'm not going to go down it, but it's a process. Now, like I said, he kind of has that it's like fighting a couple other bosses when you fight him. Now, I wasn't going to add him to this video because I didn't have too much of a hard time fighting him. He was difficult. He got me a few times. But there's a reason I added him, and it's coming up in this video. And I think it deserves to be shown. Come on. Do it. Here it goes. It's Metal Gear Rex! That's right. The little rat bastard has a Metal Gear Rex. Look at that. Enter the Gungeon. You do us all proud by referencing Metal Gear Solid. I will forever love you for having this boss fight on here. It is absolutely amazing. At any point in time, Metal Gear references are very welcome. And fighting a rat hiding inside of a Metal Gear Rex and Enter the Gungeon is probably the coolest shit ever. Now, this boss can be difficult for a lot of people, but once again, normally I have that item that lets me trigger, absorbing bullets. And then I forget the gun I have. Normally try to carry. It's that big white one that fires off the ball and explodes and follows everything. All that stuff makes this game extremely easy. But this deserves to be on the list as some of the best boss fights ever. I mean, this is, like I said, hardest boss fights, best boss fights, shit like that. But fighting a rat in Metal Gear Rex, so awesome. Moving on. Time for a PSP game. Prinny, Can I Really Be the Hero? Now, this bullshit ass fight with Sir Sweet, it's about timing like everything. But I have to say, the fight is made a little more difficult because of the clunky movement in this game. Okay, and if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. The movement feels kind of sluggish. And, I mean, the game is fun. This is a game where you start out with 999 lives to beat the game. I know you're thinking, wow, but no, they give you 999 lives because if you run out of them, that's it. That's game over, homie. But, so that should just tell you everything you need to know. You start out with 999 lives. I mean, it's telling you something there. But it's going to be that clunky movement that gets you in the end on this fight. A lot of these boss fights are not really going to go over mechanics. This isn't that type. This isn't a walkthrough. I'm not giving you tips on how to beat anything. So, but mainly movement, then he wasn't that bad. Now, this one actually has a backstory. All right, this is Revolution X. This was an arcade game. You know, it had the gun and it like, and you had a button up here to fire explosive CDs and all that stuff. The first time I played this game, I forget what we were doing, but I was with my parents. I was a kid. I was with my older brother. We were at a hotel somewhere, and my parents were like, you know, they have a free breakfast downstairs. And we were like, okay, cool. So we go downstairs, and where they had like the free, you know, continental breakfast laid out, which is always cheap bullshit, they had this arcade game. Me and my brother thought it was the greatest game in the world at the time. Playing it 2-player with the guns, just listening to the plastic go clack, 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 clack. It was awesome. Well, this year I decided to actually beat this game, so I played it on my 28XX. That was probably a mistake. And I got to the end boss. Let me get to him. Not this chick. She's stupid. All that wasn't that bad. This guy. This guy is such bullshit. This fight, the first time I fought him, actually the first couple times I fought him, maybe it was my version of the ROM, but like, you see how it's lighting up where he's hitting him? Mine was not doing that. I had no idea if I was causing damage until I'd like blow the meat off of his arm or damage his hover around. I mean, it was really frustrating. But the fact is, he's going to just lay waste to you the whole time. He just doesn't stop attacking. He moves like a jackass. And when you're not on an arcade machine or a light gun and you're using a D-pad, it becomes kind of a bitch to track him and not die 5 million times fighting him. It's actually a pretty difficult fight, especially when things aren't lighting up. Because after you like damage all his limbs and damage a bunch of stuff, you just don't know if you're ever killing him. Like, you're hitting him, but you don't know if you're hitting him in the right spot or not. You have no idea. I don't know what was preventing me from seeing the light up. Maybe I had something on that was causing that specific frame to skip, like frame skip, but not frame skip. I don't play with frame skip. Anyway, something was going on there. I couldn't see it, and it made this fight almost impossible because I had no idea where I needed to shoot him to beat him. Okay. Moving on. Hades. Fighting Hades. So when Hades came out, I was, without playing it, I was kind of a hater. But that's because, like, the Steam store art that they were showing, like the pictures of the game, because, you know, I don't really put stock in reviews. People negative review games all the time for the dumbest shit. But I was looking at, like, the still images of it, and I was like, ugh, I don't know if I could play a game in that art style. That is awful looking. I got it from somebody. Somebody sent me a copy of it. Man, did I change my mind. Hades became one of the most amazing games I've played. The art style is actually quite beautiful. The way everything works, the way the animation is, like when you watch Hades throw his robe off, the game became just amazing. And the mechanics and the story. And the fact that the story, even though you die, you start over, the story doesn't start over. And that's what made it worth it. Because I hate, like, that non-permanence in a game, okay? I don't want to play a game where I'm starting from square one every time and I'm not gaining anything. So, being able to power up weapons, trade stuff in, and acquire new stuff, and it's not just about learning boss mechanics and giving it another try. You can get stronger as you go. And then the fact that beating the game is not just beating Hades the first time. It's about the developing story. So you actually have to beat Hades multiple times to get to the ending. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, beating him once, yeah, you kind of beat the end boss, but you didn't beat the game yet. So, But the reason Hades is on this list is he is difficult. His mechanics are easy to learn. But he ends up on this list of mine because what makes him difficult is your run as a whole. So when you get to this fight, if you have not gathered or if you have not put together something good to combo or complement all of your skills, if you're too low on health or your attacks aren't crazy enough, dealing enough damage, you don't have the right boons, I hate that word, but if you don't have all the right stuff, he's going to be really difficult to fight, and he's going to tear you apart. But if you come in here and you have the right weapon, you have the right everything to back that weapon up, if you've leaned into an attack type, you know what I mean, and got things to power that up and made yourself worthy of being the son of Hades, you can just destroy his ass. But if you fuck it up, you die, and you're starting back over. So, but awesome, amazing game. Deserves to be here fully. All right, now for a game that I ignored for a long time until I seen it on like CD keys for $1. And then I tried it, and I ended up sinking so many hours into this game because it's actually a really good, really solid game, and it's my kind of humor. So South Park, The Fractured Butthole, fighting Morgan Freeman. If you make this mistake early in the game and pick shit with Morgan Freeman, he's gonna just destroy you. His attacks hit most of the fucking map. He has an insane amount of HP. He is very, very difficult to deal with. And he talks shit while you hit him. So, yeah, he's look at that, 9,600. He is a very frustrating fight. Look at it. Then you hit him for a couple hundred with a combo. You knocked him into him, and it's insane. It's a very fun fight. If you guys have never played South Park, The Fractured Butthole, go see if they got it for cheap on CD keys. It's typically maybe a couple bucks, and it's absolutely worth it. This game is funny enough, and the story is actually kind of not like, it's really good. It's a really good story for what it is. And then there's that underlying like home life for your character that makes it really sad. But yeah, all in all, I've never played The Stick of Truth, and people keep saying I need to go back and do that. And you gotta love a game where the difficulty is based on the color of your skin. But this game was awesome. I actually think I'm gonna do another run of this game very soon. So, but if you've never played this, play it. And when you meet Morgan Freeman, don't be stupid. He's gonna destroy you if you fight him too early. I would wait till you beat everything and you're really, really end game there before you take him on. Moving on. Listen to the music change on this one. Right, I'm turning it up. Here it is. That music change, taking you to Lavos, that's what I'm talking about when I'm into music on a game. And I never thought that would be a big deciding factor on whether I liked the game, but the music going from something quiet to that, it hits that tone where you're like, fuck yeah, let's go get this guy. The music really drags you into the story. It makes you feel something for it. It adds to the whole environment of the game and makes it feel alive. And that moment where everybody's like down, and then that music changes, you whip out the sword, let's go do this. It just fucking psychs you up, man. And think about how old this game is, and it still gets me. I love it. Anyway, so Lavos and Lavos Core. If you know what you're doing in a Lavos fight, it's actually not that difficult. It can be time consuming, it can be annoying. You can fight Lavos fairly early in the game, and if you can beat him, you can beat the game really quickly. But for first timers, and if you've never played Chrono Trigger, you should. This is one of my all-time favorite games. There are so many ways to play this game, so many things to do, so many things to figure out. This game can keep you going for a very, very long time. Okay? But if you've never played it, play it. One of my all-time favorite games. So what gets me about Lavos, what makes him a difficult boss fight and puts him on this list, is he changes his attacks to copy bosses throughout the game. Now, if you've played Chrono Trigger before, you know almost every boss has a boss mechanic. So you need to attack something first. You need to hit this thing before you do this, because if you hit the main part, you're going to trigger an ultimate attack if you don't knock out this little arm or whatever. So he kind of turns in like the essence of every boss and uses their mechanic. So if you've played through the game from start to finish and you didn't just skip everything and go right to the Lavos fight, but if you've played through the story, you did everything you could, you fought every boss, you know their mechanics. You just got to think back and remember every mechanic. But if you didn't fight every boss, you're fighting the end boss, going in and fighting a section of him with a mechanic you don't know. And if you screw up and hit the wrong thing at the wrong time, he's going to make you pay. And that's what puts Lavos on this list, is the fact that he is every boss in the game at once. Also, you just gotta love the soundtrack. How could I make a list like this and not have Chrono Trigger on it? Come on. I know some of you are like, well, then you gotta have Metal Gear on it. Metal Gear bosses are not that hard, okay? None of them are. But remember, we've seen Metal Gear Rex on Enter the Gungeon, so it counts. Ha! Anyway. But Metal Gear bosses, none of them are hard. None of them. Alright, we're going to jump over here. This one I just recently did again. And we are going to revisit this topic in this video. Now, I made sure not to duplicate any. I don't want to do like multiple bosses on this from the same game, because I hate seeing those like 20 boss lists. 3 of them are from Elden Ring. 3 of them are from Dark Souls 3. I don't even want a Dark Souls boss on it. You guys already know that. Anyway, this is fighting the god at the end of Breath of Fire 3. Now, Breath of Fire 3 is also one of my favorite RPGs of all time. If you guys recall, I have a GVA hinged from Boxy Pixel that has been laser etched with Breath of Fire 3 logo. Okay? I love the Breath of Fire series, and I love Breath of Fire 3. It is my favorite Breath of Fire game, mainly because I haven't beat 4, and I really, really want to beat 4. And every time I go to play 4, I think, oh, I'm going to play it on this handheld. And now I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to play it on this RG Slide when it comes out. Oh, I'm killing myself. I need to sit down and do it. Anyway, so when you get here, this is all your strategy, your team, everything. There's things you're going to want to do through the game to make this fight easier. One of the first things I do in Breath of Fire 3, and you can do this, this is probably the very first fight that you get into in the game that you actually can control. Like, I don't want to ruin anything if you never played it, but the very beginning, right after you hit new game, that beginning part is not what I'm talking about. But when you're off on your own, one of the very first fights you get into, you'll be able to examine your enemy and gain a skill called Influence. It's the first skill I get. I sit there and get Influence immediately, because you're going to want Influence for Ray and some dragon forms from your main character. So you won't have Influence on Ray or him, but maybe your third. Now, when Ray goes War Tiger, whatever, he's uncontrollable. He can decide to attack the boss. He can decide to attack your team. He can attack himself. There's also multiple dragon forms that are uncontrollable. Speaking of which, he's going to be using a controllable form, which is essentially Super Saiyan. So you want this person here to use Influence on the enemy, and as soon as you do, both these two are going to get a little bubble that says, yes, sir, and then they're going to attack that. But you got to keep using Influence every couple turns, because they'll decide to do whatever again. Past that, Shadow Walk, what he just used right there, he used it in his dragon form, but you can have Shadow Walk just as a normal skill. Very, very, very vital. You can get through the game, and this is for someone specific. You can get through the game without Shadow Walk, because you completely screw the pooch if you sell the flower jewel. And I don't mean to ruin it, but this is a warning, because you can only get one, and if you screw that up, if you sell that flower jewel, you're missing something big. Game's absolutely beatable without it. Shadow Walk just makes it easier. You're going to use Shadow Walk, smash her out. She's got about 20,000 HP. The biggest problem with this boss is she has all your endgame magics, your endgame fire magic, lightning, ice. But that's not necessarily the problem. You can cope with that. And she will nullify your boost. So if you boost your defense, whatever, she will use Sanctuary and nullify it. Her biggest thing is she's all about status element. So she'll hit you with Venom, causing confusion, blindness, poison, all this shit. It's really kind of a pain in the ass. But her petrification move, if you don't pay attention, if you're like on an emulator, like hitting fast forward, just trying to rush this fight because you're like, I got this shit, she'll petrify, game over. You gotta watch that, okay? So, that, we're gonna stop there because I don't want to ruin anything else, but Shadow Walk, get all your dragon genes, influence, and get ready to be poisoned and blind a shit ton. Alright, now, for the one that made me actually make this video. This is a boss I never see in any videos about the hardest bosses in gaming. I never see this boss fight show up. And to me, this is on here for difficulty. Okay, this isn't because it has a cool mechanic or it means something. As a grown man, I grew, out of that phase of my life where I would get so mad at a game, I'd like want to smash the controller and storm off. And I watch people live stream, and there's guys my age that act like, well, little bitches, and they smash their controller and they storm off having a little temper tantrum. It's hilarious, and I think very little of those people, okay? I know some of them are playing up for the audience, and they're doing it for views, and that's the biggest form of a sellout. I don't care if you have commercials or you're doing an ad spot for a sponsor, but that type of shit, like I've seen people with like a toilet seat around their neck with fake shit on it and saying stupid stuff just to get views and follow. That is pathetic, and that I have no faith in humanity when I see that shit. Anyway, Isaac Frost, Fight Night champion. This is one fight that can still bring that teenage me out where I'm in the room going, what the hell? Like, I'm never going to smash a controller because that shit costs money and I work for my money. I'm never going to smash my TV or the console. But if you're in a room with me, you're actually going to see a change in me where I'm actually saying stuff out loud instead of just being like, oh, damn, okay, start over. Where did I go wrong? Isaac Frost, I'm very vocal. I'm like, what? He didn't even throw that punch. I was blocking. I leaned down and my face touched his glove and I went down. Isaac Frost is one of the hardest boss fights in gaming. Okay? Now, let me break it down for you. Okay, I'm not going to really go over the story, but he is a big bad mother and he hits hard and he's fast. Also, since it's a boxing game, the way Isaac Frost fights is so randomized. There's no pattern to learn. He has the ability to flash KO you, which means you don't even get staggered. You just go straight down. He just, pop, down you go. A lot of times he'll hit you, you'll stagger back, and then one more good hit and you're going down. But the fact is, computer AI controlled, he can flash KO you and he can throw one after another, he hit you with 10 of them in a row if he wants. It's all randomized. Now, being a boxing game, in Fight Night Champions, you go down once, okay, you're going to get up. You go down twice, it's going to be harder, but you can get up. The third time is very difficult. You can get up. the fourth time they end the fight. In most cases. Sometimes even that third knockdown is almost impossible to get up from. It just depends on how bad he beat you down. But within that 3 to 4 knockdown in a fight, you're done. Now, this I got this video paused here for a reason, but the first 2 rounds of the Isaac Frost fight, in the bottom corner of the screen, it just says survive 2 rounds. You got to survive 2 3-minute rounds with this monster. And in those first 2 rounds, you cannot knock Isaac Frost out. You can't hurt him. You can't do shit to him. And he's a monster. And that's what makes this fight, there he is, Isaac and Frost. That's what makes this fight just incredibly hard. Now watch some of this. He's full health, round just began, stamina's a little low. But he's fighting Frost. That's a flash KO right there. Did you see that? Watch. Boom, down. Look at the guy's face. He knows. All right. Oh, look. He got up and he already got staggered. Let's see him do it. I'm sorry. I fast forwarded it. Boom. Exactly. See, that's me yelling that shit out. Boom. Done. So you do 2 rounds of survival. And that's pretty much just to knock you down as many times as he can, so you can't get up. He's definitely on his 3rd get up here. Yeah, he's on number 3. And then you have to do, 3 rounds? Yeah, 3 rounds. You have 3 rounds to do 75 body shots to Isaac Frost. There it is, game over. Here's the only thing, here's your saving grace, is there's checkpoints. After you complete every task, there's a checkpoint. So round 3, beginning of round 3 is a checkpoint. You have to land 75 body shots, and you have 3 rounds to do it. Here's the thing. Even if you get lucky and do all 75 in round 1 or round 3, you still have to go all 3 rounds with that counter up there. So if you do all 75 in round 3, round 4 and 5, you're at 75 and 75, and you're doing 2 rounds of survival again.
I think we're good. If it's 3 rounds.
So, and then when you think that's it, now you're sitting at round 5, whatever. Guess what? Right at the end of the last round of this 75, Isaac Frost cuts your fucking eye open. And the ref is planning on stopping the fight. So what they do is, after the 2 rounds of survival, 3 rounds of 75 body shots, I believe it's 2 rounds of guarding your right eye. And if Isaac Frost hits you 8 times in that injury, in any of those 2 rounds, you lose. So now you got to worry about him flash KOing you, flat out knocking you the fuck out. But you got to worry about him just hitting you 8 times right there in your right eye and ending the fight. And then finally, let's go through the list again. After 2 rounds of survival, 3 rounds doing 75 body shots, and you have to get to 75. Then 2 rounds of guard your right eye. Finally, your trainer's like, knock him the out.
This game is fucking stupid, man.
Exactly. I did this fight again this weekend, and it is incredibly hard. And by the way, I play the Fight Night games on greatest of all time difficulty. But I can tell you this, Isaac Frost on amateur difficulty is just the biggest pain in the ass. He is not easy. In my house, to my kids, I have a $1 bounty set on a lot of classic games. Chrono Trigger is worth $20 beating Chrono Trigger. Metal Gear Solid worth $20 to beat Metal Gear. Isaac Frost has like a $60 bounty on his head in my house. If any of my kids can defeat Isaac Frost, they'll claim a $60 bounty. Thing is, I want to be there to watch the fight, so they can't just do it. Say, "Oh, I beat Isaac Frost." I gotta watch the frustration. It'll be worth it for me to pay that $60. Anyway, guys, I never see Isaac Frost in a top 10 list of hardest bosses, and it was kind of pissing me off. So, yeah. So I want to do some honorable mentions over here real quick, guys. I have them on this screen. I'm going to move them over. So a few honorable mentions. Cuphead. I know this is a second kind of showing of Cuphead in here. Let's see if I can find it. I like the Dice King's like music and thing in Cuphead. It's hilarious. The only reason Cuphead or the Dice King is, or King Dice, I keep saying, I even type Dice King, but it's King Dice. The only reason he's on here is because of this board. You have to hit the dice and stop it, and you move that many spaces. So these are all different fights. You have safe zones, you have places to heal, but that start over square right there. Pre-patch, you could hit that as many times as possible. So every time you get here, you can hit start over and go back to the beginning. Start over, back. You could do this 100 times. They've patched it now where if you hit it once and start over, you can't hit it again. But if you're good at timing things, you can plan this out and be like, save, finish, and fight them. Okay? I just wanted to throw that in because I think it's a neat boss fight. It's a neat mechanic. For me, I figured out of like each range which boss was... could I beat? So I was able to like jump in and be like, fight this one, safe, fight this, safe, whatever, all the way across. The last thing I want to mention, and it's not a boss fight, it is Breath of Fire 3, The Desert of Death. Now this one also has a backstory. I originally played Breath of Fire 3 on the PlayStation 1. I had a hard disk copy of it. It's where I fell in love with Breath of Fire 3. It's where it'll just always be one of my favorite games. It got me through a lot. It was there when a lot of bad things were going on in my life. And I'm not going to get into that, but I used to escape into this game. I got to the Desert of Death, which is what you're seeing on the screen. I can't even tell you, like 2000, you know, like 04 type shit, not even. And in the Desert of Death, they explain you need to follow the North Star. If you look at this star, this is the Western Star. This is the fake North Star. Follow the real North Star. You have a jug of water. You periodically get thirsty and have to take a drink, but it will run out. I think you get like 18 to 20 of them. You can only walk at night. You could get into fights. You can also go into this little area where you got to run around and run to the edge of the map to get back out. If you end up in one of those areas, you got to reorient yourself because you could come out of it facing any direction. And when the sun comes up, you need to rest. Now they have this cleverly designed that as the sun comes up, the North Star starts to disappear. You can't see it because the sky is lighting up with the sun. Well, there's a certain point in time where there's some steps you have to take, still going this direction with the sun up before the screen says it's daytime, you need to rest, where you'll enter this walking area, which I think that's what's happening here. Yeah, this area. So the sun will come up, the star will be gone, you can't see it no more, but you enter this walking area, and then when you leave, you could be facing any direction, but now you can't see the stars, and the screen hasn't prompted you to go to sleep yet. So what you have to do is go in, go to sleep, leave, go in, go to sleep, and start it over that way. Go to sleep twice in a row. But here's the thing with the Desert of Death, and this defeated me for like 15 years of my life. Not even a joke, okay? This is my gaming trauma. My PTSD when it comes to gaming is the Desert of Death. When I was younger, I did this, and you're supposed to follow it and follow it and follow it and follow it. I followed that fucking North Star all the way to running out of water. Now we're all losing health every time we step because we're thirsty. I used all my healing items and kept walking and kept walking and kept walking and kept... There was no end to it. All the way to the point where I had no healing items. I went into a fight. Everybody had 1 HP. There was no way to heal anybody. I didn't even have any magic ability left and dead. The Desert of Death is very difficult because it's not just... Even though the guide says follow the North Star, you can follow that North Star forever and never get to the end of it. There's actually certain ways you have to go, and then you have to get to a point where one of your party members gets sick, and you have to kill the little Radka, or let's just call him a llama, donkey, whatever. You have to kill that thing and feed it to the sick party member to help them regain. As soon as you kill it, the game warns you there is no going back now. Because you can always use that little llama to return back to camp and start over. If you kill it, you can't. But following a North Star doesn't do shit for you, because if you never kill the Rodkey, or like I said, we'll just call him a donkey. If you never kill that, you watch. Now the star is gone, and once in a while it'll throw you into that area, but now you can't see the damn star, and you're waiting for this to pop up and say don't walk during the day. So think about this. This is back in the early 2000s when I played it. I had nowhere to go to figure this out. You know, I couldn't just YouTube this big walkthrough. I mean, even if I could find a walkthrough, it was a little more difficult than it is nowadays. And I didn't have a computer and internet at the time. All I had was a PlayStation 1. There was nowhere to go. There was no help to be found. I was on my own with the Desert of Death, and I never beat it, ever. Now, roughly 3 to 4 years ago, I went at this game again, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Got back to the Desert of Death. This time I knew how to beat it, because even as a kid, I remember a point in time where a party member was sick and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know I could kill the fucking donkey and that would get me through. I did not know that shit. So for a decade and a half, this was the unbeaten gaming PTSD trauma scar that I carried. About 4 or 5 years ago, knowing how to finally beat the Desert of Death, I went at this game again. I ran through it, got to the Desert of Death. It was still a pain in the ass, but I got through it. I beat the game, and I loved it. Finally seeing the ending, because for a decade and a half, I would not look up the ending of the game because I wanted to earn it. That's also why I've never beaten Breath of Fire 4, because I didn't want to know shit else. Which is also weird in the Breath of Fire series, that every Breath of Fire game, they all meet for the first time again. What the hell? Anyway. So that's going to end it, guys. I know this video is a little bit longer. So let me know what you think. Has anybody that watches my videos, have any of you fought Isaac Frost, Fight Night Champions? Let me know. Other than that, tell me a boss that gives you, that just tortures your life, your gaming existence here. Tell me a boss that just destroyed you, that you consider insanely difficult, even if the rest of the world doesn't think so, but to you, this boss is difficult. Let me know in the comments your boss list. What's difficult to you? Name a couple if you want to. Let's cuss and discuss them, you know what I mean? But for me, Isaac Frost, I can't believe he's almost never named as one of the hardest boss fights in gaming when he is. If you have a chance to go get Fight Night Champions and just see what I'm talking about. The story mode to get to Isaac Frost can be done in like 45 minutes. If you don't watch any of the cinematics, if you just skip them all. It can be done in like 45 minutes to get to Isaac Frost. But then this is going to take you a while. So, alright guys, like I said, do it up in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode.